Yeah,
Guys, these don't have to be the only topics we talk about.
it's
Tyler
whatever.
just Tyler's I'm convinced Tyler and I aren't actually good friends because he knows me as a Star Wars guy, and there's so much more depth to who I am as a human being.
The Three RoOs podcast. All right, welcome to the Three RoOs podcast. I'm Tyler with co-host Rich and Seth. Today we have my friend Rob on as our guest. We're going to be talking about some aliens in Star Wars. I've known I've known Rob. I don't know, 10 years now. We worked at a bar together in college. We bounced and had some fun there. We try to get together a couple times, or every couple of months if we can, if we're all in town. Um, but yeah, Rob, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself or say anything else.
You kind of just introduced me there, but hello everybody, Rob. Known Tyler again for about 10 years, 2015 I think we met. Had some good times at that bar, bouncing, bartender. And then here we are,
Do you have any
first
crazy
podcast
bouncer
together.
stories?
Yeah, okay, I'll start. Rob, Rob, you can
Oh,
no,
the
actually,
Halloween?
no, St.
Is that
Patrick's Day.
that was wrong holiday. But yeah.
All right, you can add in here. Ready? So, on St. Patrick's Day, I was bartending and there was a fight in the middle of the fight in the floor, and I jumped over the bar and had a guy in a headlock on the bottom of the floor in the bar, and then I told him not to swing when I got up, and then I started letting him go, and he swung, and then Rob came in and got him in another headlock, but the dude had like grabbed my junk and was like and wouldn't let go, and so when Rob threw him out the door, we all went out with him, and so we're like trying to get the guy off me, and like oh man, it was a mess. It
Yeah,
was a
dude. You're
mess.
like, being let out the door. Dude, that sucks. Wait, so why did you have to jump over the bar if you were the one pouring drinks?
Just sometimes the bar was so packed.
You want to be a tough guy. That's why. You want to be a tough
I actually don't. I
guy.
It's fine. I don't know Tyler as a bar fighter. He's. I've never seen Tyler in a bar fight ever.
You have any other bouncing stories you want to tell, Rob?
I think that's the one that stands out as memorable because the guy was literally tethered to your balls as I was dragging him out. Yeah.
Dude, that must have killed. Was that one of your most painful experiences?
I don't know.
Did
I
they
don't
like?
remember.
Did
It's
they
so long
pull him
ago.
out slowly so you weren't like running while he was attached to your dick, or
No, I'm
or?
pretty sure Rob threw him.
Oh, so you're like ah.
Oh,
And
dude,
therefore through
that's like,
Tyler too. Yeah.
yeah, it's hurting talking about it, man. That's,
Yeah.
any other good stories?
Always had
Pretty pretty
shift
pretty
beers.
uneventful. Shift beers, yeah. 3 a.m. shift beers.
I mean, were
But
there a lot of fights there? Or?
I would say it's a pretty tame bar. Like I don't have my veteran status from working there, so that's my only combat interaction I think I had there. I think you
That's
need
good.
at least 5 combat interactions to get your pub veteran status. So
That's an actual
That's
thing.
good.
no, that's well
Okay, you just made it up.
to be in the retirement system, right? To get gross there once a year. Yeah.
Get benefits, disability through
Benefits.
the bar. Okay, so first topic today. We're going to talk about aliens. And we talk about this with all our guests. So it's not unique to you, Rob. We don't think you're some alien conspiracy theorist or something. Um,
Which I
so,
am.
I mean, you could be.
I
So
am.
we're about to find out. So, do you think they're real?
No. No, I'm
Really?
just fucking with you. Yes, I do. I do. I do.
Damn, I thought we were gonna have our first no.
Yeah, same.
What do you think they look like?
I don't think they look like anything that we'd imagine them to look like. You know, I don't think that we can even fathom what non-human intelligence looks like. Like everything you see in the movies about
Mm.
what aliens look like, probably not even close. Did I tell you what they look like? No, because then I'd be a bullshit like Hollywood director telling you what they look like, right?
Do you think it's one of those things where like you know how we only use X percentage of our brain, and what they are is just like a portion of our brain that we don't know how to process. So like we would see them and I don't know, blow up, or our brains would die or something crazy like that.
like Indiana Jones type stuff where we just like
Yeah.
combust. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's a theory out there that we don't have the proper sensory perceptors to see them. It's kind
Are
of
they
wild to
here?
think about.
Are they here right now?
Are they here right now?
Yeah, do you think there are aliens on the planet right now?
For all I know, any one of you guys can be one. Yeah.
I think I have been
Right.
accused on one of the podcasts of being an alien. I think somebody did accuse me at one point.
Do you, Rob? Are you religious at all?
I was raised religious growing up, but no longer am.
Do you do you like? Do you ever think about how some religions, a lot of religions, have like a lot of the same origin stories or something very similar? And do you think there's any like basis to that? Like for example, if you look at the Bible, interestingly enough, in the Bible, like God says that they'll be made in our image, right? And then obviously made people from dirt. And then he also says like you'll honor me before all other gods or something like that, right? So like it alludes to there being like more than just him. And then if you look at the like Epic of Gilgamesh, and you look at, you know, obviously, I mean, Genesis is the same thing. But if you look at other like ancient Mesopotamian cultures, right, there's a lot of the same things about people being made from mud and it, you know, being made in images, all this kind of stuff. Do you think there's like maybe some? Do you think there's a possibility that aliens actually might look like us, and we would see them as gods when we were very primitive or had like no power?
Certainly a possibility, but I will also say that I think the Bible is full of curated stories
Well, sure. Okay. Fair.
to have some type of underlying motive to like kind of like form the message that the church wants you to
Yeah.
receive, right?
Yeah.
It is challenging though, because when you do look back to ancient cultures, like have you guys talked about pyramids yet?
Oh,
I think
well,
I
frequently.
did a little bit. I did a little bit with like the
Frequently? Yeah.
Yeah, a
Anunnaki.
little bit.
Yeah.
I heard a
Oh.
crazy theory on pyramids just today, but continue. I'll touch on it after.
What's your crazy theory?
So apparently there's a new theory out there, or there's a theory, I don't know if it's new or not, that because people have never actually dug like under the pyramids, they think that the pyramids are kind of like icebergs. So like we're just seeing a tip of it, and
It's like a
underneath
giant
it,
obelisk.
yeah, there's something ridiculous underneath it leading to like a lost city.
So there are like some pathways that we haven't found in the
Right.
pyramids that
Yeah.
that'd be nuts.
Or it's like a big spaceship that's buried.
There's a movie I think that did that, right? There's a movie that did that.
If there's not, we should write it because I just came up. That's a good idea.
How do you think the pyramids were built, Rob?
That's a tough question, Tyler, because I was not around when the pyramids were built.
Of course.
All right, well, we just
geez.
proved he's not an alien, guys. Good job.
Well, the one thing I can say is we haven't built any pyramids since, so
It's true, but
Do you find that weird that like we've built pyramid style, like the casino in Vegas that's, you know, pyramid shaped, but like do you find it weird that we just haven't even like bothered to try and replicate the pyramids? Like
it's like what purpose would they serve now? What purpose did they serve?
yeah.
Last.
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, my thought why they don't do it now is just cost effective. There'd be no reason to build something like that. Yeah,
you said
nowadays.
that. You said on the previous
Waste of land, waste of real estate, right?
Right.
Well, I think the interesting thing about it though is like there's things, if you look at like Stonehenge and you look at like the pyramids, right? They're like there's like 70-ton beams of like rock that are in like one part of it, and they're like, how the fuck did they get these like massive beams of stone where the only place we know where it could have come from was like 200 miles away? How do they lift them up like that high? There's like all these things that nobody can figure out. There's no answers to it. And the saws that they had to cut the stones, I think they compared it to like in like the 80s they did a study, and it was like 10%, or it was like some percentage like more effective or something like that. Like because you have to cut the stone like extremely fast. There's just all these crazy facts that engineers today are just like, yeah, we've got no fucking idea how they did it.
think Rogan's theory on the big beams and moving the stuff was that there used to be water in that area, and the pyramids are actually like a few thousand years older than they.
Oh, I
Uh,
did. Yeah, yeah. Like the erosion of the Sphinx and like how things eroded differently. Yeah, yeah. I did watch. I listened to that one.
yeah, so yeah, he was saying that it hasn't rained there in thousands of years, or not frequently in thousands of years, to
Yeah,
induce the water erosion patterns that are on the pyramids and the Sphinx. So
yeah.
they think that they're actually older than they are. It's not his theory; it's somebody he had talked to, I think. But
And like North Africa used to be like green, like fertile. Like there was like a forest or something like that. A lot of it. So I think even at the time of the Romans or something like that, like a lot of it was like the not the breadbasket. Well, kind of, yeah. But well, anyway, Rob, you asked us about the pyramids. Where were you going with that?
No, I think we're going in the right direction, right? Did the ancient peoples have assistance with it, or was it the biggest guy in the
Mm.
village who like carry all these blocks? Think like the most jacked guy in the village, just like working with the other most jacked guy and carrying them around, right? That's not a viable option,
no,
obviously.
yeah,
So it
like
has to be aliens, right?
Very,
it's,
you
it's
have to
Has
gotta
to
be
be
be.
very
aliens.
jacked,
So
like a whole
so
village of jack guys.
so
Yeah.
if those aliens, if it was aliens, they would be have been kind of friendly, at least to the point where they didn't eliminate the human race, right? So I guess going forward, any altercation would how would you see what happen? Like if there was just like a spaceship over the United States, right? Just like hovering over New York. Do you think they would be friendly? Do you think they would like why would they come here?
Probably be upset with us because we haven't been building pyramids like they wanted us to.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. When I come back, I better see 5,000 pyramids.
Yeah,
You
so
build me all this
they'd be pretty
bullshit.
angry.
Well, we built one in Vegas in like the 70s. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a question. That's a good. Have you ever heard of the Anunnaki? That story?
No.
They're like, well, okay. So basically, there was a civilization called. There's a civilization of aliens. Okay, their planet was endangered by basically global warming or something like that, radiation. And in order to fix it, they needed gold. And so they sent out expeditions in order to find gold. And Earth, depending on like the cycle of their planet, every 4,000 years, whatever it is, 3,600 years, it was a lot closer to Earth. Okay, so they decided to go from their planet, which is called, I think it might sound something like Nineveh, or I forget. It sounds something like basically like one of the cities in the ancient world in ancient Mesopotamia. And they decide they come to Earth and they look for gold and they teach people how to build. They had these like slaves, another alien race of slaves, and they all died out or something like that, or there was like a rebellion and they killed off the slaves and it left them kind of weak and they had to make people in order to basically be slaves. And so they created these cities, a city called, I forget what it was. I think that was like another city that you hear in something similar in the ancient texts. And within the city, there's actually a garden in the middle of the garden. What do you think the garden's called?
Eden.
There you go. So this garden's called Eden. Well, anyway, they allow some people to live there, but they tell people like you're not supposed to procreate too much or whatever. They let them live in Eden, and then at a certain point, they teach people how to build the ziggurats. Well, ziggurats are very similar in shape to pyramids. Ziggurats are also very similar in shape to the pyramids that you see in South America. Okay. Which, funny enough, when you talk about South America, there's the legends of El Dorado, which is the fabled city of gold. Now, again, they came to Earth for gold, and there's a similar structure in the New World who allegedly never met the people in the Middle East, the ancient Middle East. So I find that interesting. Anyway, they go off, right, and they wherever the hell they go, and then obviously you're left with Earth. I think they also made the people out of dirt, like mud, and breathed life into them.
They created people.
They made man. Yeah, they needed to, right? Because they killed off that other slave race. And so again, if you look at the Anunnaki, which I think was like an ancient Assyrian uh, myth, then you have the Sumerians, right? With their, I think the Sumerians were the Gilgamesh, So that's kind of what I was going before, which is like there's a lot of ancient, and of course, if you think of Christianity, Judaism, obviously Sumerians, Assyrians, Hittites, you name it, right? They're all going to have similar origin stories because they're all from basically the same place. But anyway, so that's the Anunnaki, and that's kind of like gold and ziggurats, pyramids, and that, to me, when I like listened to this story, it all sort of started to come together, and I started asking questions like, well, then how come? How does some of these civilizations have similar things, right? And it's kind of like one day they'll return, and obviously when the Spaniards went over there, they're like, oh, they're back, right? And hopefully, if the aliens do show up, they're a little more merciful on us than the Spaniards were on like the Aztecs and Incas and stuff like that. But
Yeah, hopefully.
yeah,
Why didn't they want the people to procreate?
that's a good question. Maybe they saw people as a threat, man. I mean, if you think about humans, right? Basically, whenever we're actually sticking together and we put our heads together, we're like an unstoppable force. So we're probably
Yeah.
like a virus. The problem is we fight over stupid shit all the time. But we
Yeah, I mean,
we 100% would be a threat.
they don't let you procreate in prison, so I guess it would be the same dynamic, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, how would you?
In prison.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a jail, if you're in if you're like in a jail block full of guys, I guess.
Bro,
How would
anything
you?
is possible.
I guess nowadays it is. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. In 18 years, we'll have an army to break out of this place.
So yeah, I guess where I was going, my question is like, do you picture it's like Star Wars where people are just jumping around from planet to planet at some point, or that at some point else somewhere else in the galaxy that's going on right now, or is it like any civilization that can get to the Earth is just like fucking watching us, and at some point they're gonna be like, nah, we've had enough of these fucking humans, you know? I don't know. Obviously, if they can get here, they're gonna have more advanced weapons than us, right? Because they can get to
N
fucking Earth from
Not if they
wherever.
sunk all of their money into just space travel, right? Like
Money.
we can't travel in space because we sink all of our money into weapons.
That's a very good
True.
point.
True.
Yeah.
Also, we talked about it's like they might not be violent. Like they maybe never had to be violent, or just because they excel in space travel doesn't mean that they excel in warfare, right? They could literally be like they sunk all their mind share, or they had that type of brain to think about space travel, but they're still using swords or like a club, which we would obviously, if our bolts could penetrate them, we'd fuck them up. But actually, it could be fun.
I'd agree, but it seems like all the sightings are around military bases, so they're like they know we've got weapons and they're fucking
Yeah.
watching us if they're real. But
Do you
and
think
it's
they're afraid of
always
us,
I
Rob?
don't know. I kind of like the theory that they're watching us, and then if we
Yeah.
you know the I don't know.
Rob, you think they're afraid of us?
Is it like a peeping Tom dynamic, Tyler, where like you have a guy watching through a window and he's like, like what is their motive by watching us? You
I
know?
think
Very, very handsome human.
more like Big
Maybe.
Brother. Like, nah, if they whip out the nuke again, we're gonna have to fuck them up or tell them or disable it somehow.
But let me ask you this. If they're watching us, wouldn't they also know that we don't have the capability to travel?
Two other worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so, but maybe they're making sure we don't destroy the planet, right, by using more nuclear weapons.
In case they have to come back from our gold one day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or make more slaves build pyramids or whatever they did, human slaves build pyramids.
We're on the Bitcoin now, man. Gold's obsolete. We got to tell them that.
No, don't tell them that because they're gonna come for gold and find nothing and then just leave. It'll be fine.
Imagine if it's aliens coming here to steal our Bitcoin.
To
What
like
would you
mine it.
what
Michael
would you
Saylor's
do?
actually an alien.
What would you do if some rando showed up on your doorstep and was like, "Give me all your Bitcoin"? And you're like, "What?" And they're like, "We're an alien. We need it." Like
We need
what?
all your computers and servers and mine this shit.
Their spaceships run on Bitcoin energy somehow. There's some kind of digital currency energy, blockchain energy. That'd be
Dude,
interesting.
blockchain, aliens using blockchain. I still don't fully get. I guess I kind of get blockchain a little bit, but what do you think, Rob? Are you a gamer? Would you consider yourself a gamer? Or were you a gamer?
Geez, before I had a ton of adult things in my life. Yes. Before probably before college.
Really?
Even during college, I would say.
Yeah.
And
I still love
afterwards.
doing it. Even when I have time, I still love doing it because I can't lose my dinosaur. But
We used to play what's the Star Wars game a lot? Me,
Oh,
you, and
Battlefront?
Timmy.
Battlefront?
Yeah,
Yeah,
didn't we
yeah,
used to
yeah.
play that a lot?
Yeah, that's around the college years. Yeah,
Oh, I guess it was a year or two
yeah,
after
yeah.
then.
well, did you ever play a game called Mass Effect?
No, heard of it though.
Okay. Well, anyway, so there's a bunch of alien races. There's an ark, right? There was an ancient alien race that nobody really knows anything about. They left a bunch of technology, okay, and the technology they left behind was allowed people to travel to different parts of space like almost instantaneously. They all kind of gathered, right? They have their own worlds, but they all sort of conveyed and had their own like government on this ark, which is like a huge like spaceship that was, I think, also ancient
Like the Senate in Star
technology,
Wars.
kind of like the Senate in Star Wars. And basically, so I guess where I'm going with this is like, do you think that maybe they watch us? Because I don't know if Mike had brought this up, but like maybe they watch us and they're trying to see like, are these people ready to be brought into the fold, into this like confederacy of alien species? And they probably look at us and go like, no way we can invite these guys here because they'll kill us all because they're a bunch of savages and they fight over things that hey, I want everyone in America should have a 4K TV.
There's
So,
still
like,
apes running around with guns. Like they haven't evolved to the
Yeah.
point where we can
Yeah.
invite them into our ring yet.
Yeah, they're just worried about building material wealth. They're greedy. They're violent in order to maintain this chase for more things, this quest for more. So maybe they're just like I said before, they sort of see us as a virus. I honestly think I hate to say it, right? But looking inward here, we probably are the biggest threat to ourselves, right? Human on human violence. And then also we would probably just like dude, imagine if they brought us onto a big ship, we probably would be like living in like slums, and there'd be like such high crime, and like you know what I mean? Like they'd all hate us. They'd be like, yeah, dude, like don't let the humans go beyond the street because
It'd be like District
they'll
9.
kill us all. Yeah, dude, just like
except
this
we would be the
except we're the prawns. Fucking prawn man, fuck off, fuck off. Yeah, dude, we'd be like the worst thing to bring into the fold because like we would always just be slaughtering other anything to do with nothing's gonna stand in the way of building material wealth unless maybe we did see what like that the grass is greener and there's something on the other side and we were like, yeah, you know what, like who gives a shit about fancy cars, nice houses, blah blah blah, like there's something higher there.
What
Nice.
would
What is that?
would it be called an inter or intragalactic system? Like what would an intragalactic system look like to where aliens are incentivized to bring us in? Like, because if it's like gradients, then the assumption there is that the aliens are also like transacting on some form of capital, right? Would it just simply be like because like you have government, right? But what is the point of government without other functions of society? You know,
slave
like what would
labor.
that look like?
Usually the answer, right? They
Oh well,
take us.
no, that's not happening here. I'm not letting that happen.
I feel like that's
They're
what
not
they would take us for if they were more advanced than us, and like they're
just
like
our meaty bodies.
yeah, like we can make them go dig holes on this planet or whatever. Or they can
You think
survive
they're
on this planet, so we're gonna go make them dig holes for our whatever they're doing out there.
You think they're
mine
I don't know.
slavers?
mine for gold or whatever.
What is, I guess, what is the higher, there's probably some concept we just can't grasp because we never had to, right? But like what is the higher quest? Is it a level of spirituality that they're like chasing? Like are they trying to ascend to
By
a different
coming
part of the
here
galaxy
or
or
taking
heaven?
us.
Just in general, like what is, like to your point, right? What makes them go, I need to get on a ship? It just before they even were spacefaring, I need to get on a ship and I need to go out there, and like what drives them in the end, right? For
What
us,
drives
like
us?
well, for us,
Same,
it's
yeah.
material. For us, it's material, though, right? Like, why go to space because there's more resources and like there's like pure planets which we'll just end up destroying anyway.
Well, Alonia muscatato from the alien race that I know. I was saying Elon Musk. Come on, I was trying to say his
I was like,
name.
who the
I mean, he
fuck
is an
that?
alien.
No, I mean, I've seen I saw something today that was in
Is it
like
beautiful?
3 to 4 billion years they expect our Milky Way galaxy to like overlap another galaxy and then kind of implode and shoot off in different directions. So
Hmm.
maybe there are some advanced species that has seen their planet's demise or their galaxy's demise, and they need to find a planet to live on.
Yeah, that could be it. They just want to survive. So they have a survival instinct, and they probably do have a need for resources, and like maybe they are greedy and they do fight. I don't know. There's so many
What if
directions you can go in.
what if like they're just like us? Like there's an entire different galaxy, and right now there's 4 alien dudes on it sitting on a Zoom call pondering if there's human life out there. That's like
Dude, that would be so fun. They all have
what's their
headsets, and they're just
point?
like it's like a Rick and Morty episode. Do
Exactly.
you watch
So that'd be
Rick
like
and
the
Morty, Rob?
multiverse, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Do,
guess.
do you believe in the multiverse, Rob?
Multiverse?
Yeah.
After watching the Infinity documentary, yes, 100%.
The
I forgot-
Infinity
I
documentary. What's
forgot
that?
we watched that.
I'm gonna watch that.
All I remember from that documentary is at one point they have an apple in a case, and they're talking about how like matter eventually like dissipates and forms new things, and they're saying like I forget there's like a 1 in a billion chance if you have an apple in this case, it could become a baseball 1 billion years from now somehow. I forget what it was, but it was just like the fuck.
Wait, hang on. We have a guy who specializes in atoms.
Is this called A Trip to Infinity?
I think so, yeah.
A trip
I'm
to
gonna have to-
infinity.
I'm gonna have
Okay.
to check this. Was it on Netflix?
Yeah.
I'm gonna check this out, and I'll get back to you with my non inebriated thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Well,
do it,
did
man.
you watch
I
any
mean,
of
my
the-
assumption is going to be that it's all theoretically based, because when you really get down to the nitty gritty of
Oh yeah,
like
that's
super quantum nerdiness, there is stuff that like time travel actually is possible theoretically. That's
faster
not
than the
to
speed of
say
light.
that it's exactly. That's not to say that it's feasible. It's not to say that it's physically possible. But when you're talking theoretically, this is what drives my dad nuts all the time. Is theoretical physicists who talk about things like space travel or like time travel, and he's like, that's not possible, it'll never happen. And I'm sitting here thinking, it's not like they have this like time portal that they can put you in and send you back in time. That's not what they're talking about.
Did you watch the documentary? I know Tyler, you did because you recommended it to me. The documentary about the microscope, not microscope,
the Webb telescope.
the Webb telescope, the microscope, the telescope that can see back. They're like, we could see back in time 13.1 billion years, and in order to see the Big Bang, we need to see back 13.7 billion years. And they spent like how much money on this fucking thing? Like $10 billion. And I'm like, at that, if you only need to go, if you've gone 13.1 billion years back, why don't you just go back 13.7 billion years? Just wait to ship it off for another
Well,
few years.
no, what they were saying is that Rob, did you see it? So what they were saying was that they could see that far back because the universe is ever expanding, right?
Yeah,
Or whatever.
yeah,
The universe is ever expanding. So they could see the light emitted from back then because we're so far away at that point now. But there would be no way for them to see the beginning of like the Big Bang because that had already happened, right?
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, I probably missed that part, but yeah.
By the
I mean,
time
do you think?
because we were there, like our whatever the matter that makes us up was there when that happened, right? And then because we moved so far away at this point,
Yeah. I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory, to be honest. I'm not saying I believe everyone right away. As soon as I said that, it's like, oh, why? Because you're Catholic and you believe in the Bible. Like, no, it's not. Is that what you thought just now?
no, I actually haven't thought about the Big Bang Theory.
I'm not saying I believe in that. It's the Bible necessarily, right? But I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory either.
What is the Big Bang Theory?
I mean, I almost believe more that we were created by like an alien god, honestly, than a Big Bang Theory. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like,
I mean, they've actually traced DNA through us into chimps. So there's that. So your creation.
Wait, what do you mean?
It's
Oh,
Lucy.
you mean the creation theory? Okay, yeah.
No, yeah, Lucy the chimp, right?
Yeah, like again, like I'm saying, like to me, what makes more sense is almost like that there was some sort of creation by some sort of species that knew how to actually create. The same way we're doing like shit in labs now, right? We're like cloning and all that. That to me is I could grasp that. I can't grasp something. I can't grasp the idea of no beginning, no end. There was nothing, then there was something. Like to me, I just cannot grasp that. I don't think I ever will. There was nothing, and all of a sudden there was something. Yeah, okay, pal. The universe never ends. Yeah, okay, pal. all those, no offense, Seth, but 15 years of school just to say something stupid like that doesn't make sense to me.
I mean,
It
there
doesn't
are
make sense
people
to
who
me.
are a hell of a lot smarter than me who dedicate their lives to proving that, but
And have they proven it yet?
I mean, they've dispelled
Waste of
most of what
They
waste of
put
a
it in
the
life.
papers.
Catholic. I mean, they've dispelled what most of the Catholic churches said. So there's
Yeah, but that doesn't. Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with the Big Bang Theory, right? It's just like what a waste of a life.
well,
Right,
what's the
Ralph?
third? What's the third word in Big Bang Theory?
Bang.
No, no, Big Bang Theory. What's the third word there, bud?
I just want to say bang. Yeah, it's a theory, I know, but like I think, yeah, it's a
Means it's
theory.
not proven. If it's proven, it's a law.
Yeah,
Theory is
it'll never
that
be a law.
it's a thought.
It'll never be law. And I went to 4 years of school. Write that one down, Rob. I'm gonna be right about this someday. It's literally just, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. So like, I struggle with that, but I think. Do you think the images that we're seeing from that telescope are real, or do you think this is all a bunch of bullshit?
Great point. I mean, what if the telescope just isn't working and it's just creating like AI generated images for us?
Who was doing AI before AI became a thing?
Did you see that? Did you see that documentary, Rob?
What is that
No,
one called, Tyler?
Ah, I don't. I just know it's about the Webb telescope. I don't remember what it's called. So it takes 10 years to build, right? And they have a team of like 100 people, and hundreds of people building this fucking thing. And the way it has to, when it gets out into space, it has to unfold this mirror that's
Like a
like made of
parachute.
what looks like aluminum foil. And like they're afraid of it ripping. And the guy was so obsessed with there being like 400 single points of failure or whatever. And it was all
Yeah.
involved with this aluminum foil looking mirror thing unfolding. So after it launches, they don't have any other cameras looking at this thing. So they're just showing you like generated images of this thing happening out there. So once this thing launched, it could be doing fucking anything out there. Nobody actually knows.
Maybe it's
Except for
all a
the
bunch of
people
bullshit,
involved.
and that money just went somewhere else. I mean, yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't.
And when they
How
get
do they
the
just
images
get that?
back, it's just
Yeah.
like the guy's just like in Photoshop playing with the settings, right? He's like, this is how we make it look cool because we I'm like,
Yeah,
yo,
he's like,
what?
oh, sepia tone over here. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, how did wait? So some of the really old ones that we sent back years ago, that we sent out years ago, like what was it?
The Hubble was the other one.
Was that the one that was the Hubble? Was the Hubble like on? Is that a telescope that's on Earth, or what's the one that we like sent off into space like a
I
long
think
time
that's
ago?
still the Hubble. That's still the Hubble.
Is
Yeah,
that the
that's the
Hubble?
Looks
Hubble.
like it.
How do we get those images back? Like, does that predate like things like Wi-Fi and just like how do we? Because you'd have to have some sort of technology on that in order to like transmit, no? Like,
I mean,
or
satellites have been out there for how often? They probably just bounce them off satellites.
isn't that thing like so far away?
It was launched in 1990.
I mean, I'm not saying like it's a bunch of bullshit because of
Tyler,
AI.
you've got me
I
down
just
a rabbit
wondering.
hole with this Webb telescope. I'm gonna spend the next like 6 weeks reading about this
It
Oh,
thing.
dude,
uses
watch the documentary.
Dude, it
it
looks
uses
so cool.
radio waves to send the pictures through the air back to Earth. Hubble uses a digital camera and it takes pictures like a cell phone, is what it says.
How fast do radio waves travel?
I don't fucking know.
The speed of light. It's just like the what do you call it? Like the frequency of the waves.
The electromagnetic spectrum. Is that
Yep.
it?
Yep, the
Science
electromagnetic
is
spectrum.
Works for me.
no offense,
Yep.
but science outside of medical stuff, science is stupid. No, I'm joking. I know Seth.
So back to
dedicated his life
back to
that.
the multiverse. Do we think it's a thing? Rob, do you think it's a thing? Like did you see the new Doctor Strange movie? Maybe not new, it's like a year old now.
Is it the one where he goes into the different ones to save the girl?
Yeah,
Is
he's
that the
going through
Doctor
like
Strange one?
he goes through like 100 different universes, parallel
Yeah.
universes. My computer freeze.
Oh.
No,
Yeah.
Rob's
Oh.
thinking.
No,
I'm
No,
processing.
it's a challenging question to answer. Yeah, I would say I do. Pre-Marvel era, okay, they didn't invent this concept.
No,
But
Rick and Morty
no,
did. Duh.
yeah, Rick and Morty did. Rick
I
and
don't know
Morty
that
did.
one.
You haven't watched that, dude?
Dude, I think you would actually enjoy it. It's
So
pretty
funny.
childish, but like at the same time, it's pretty funny.
I love Rick and Morty.
It's so
Like,
funny.
What is Rick and Morty's?
Interdimensional television is like the greatest episodes of all time.
Dude, I love the one with the space aliens that are like mafia and they're supposed to be Italian and they're like, oh, my, and they see the fake, the acid. Dude, so Rick and Morty's like Back to the Future. They were like it's basically a grandfather and his grandson. The grandfather's like this absolute genius and he's unlocked all the secrets to the world, like, the universe. And he's like extremely cynical and he's like, like an alcoholic basically. They kind of dial back on some of like the drug use and the drinking. Like I've noticed like in the later seasons because he's like always like belching and shit and like drinking stuff but he's a genius and it's really funny, like just a lot of like it's kind of like a Family Guy type humor but maybe even I think even funnier, way funnier.
The first episode starts with him stumbling drunk into the kid's room and telling him that they have to go on this adventure, and then he takes him to a different universe where he has to shove these seeds up his butt.
Ass. Yeah, yeah, dude, and yeah. Well, Tyler, it's on Adult Swim or it's on Hulu. Like
it's on Hulu, or Max or whatever it's called now. I think all the seasons are on Max and Hulu, and
yeah, find it and watch it. Pickle Rick he turns himself into a pickle, and they basically took a bunch of movies and put them together in this episode. Like Iron Man.
Unpopular opinion: Pickle Rick, not even a top 5 episode.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, it
was all right, but there are definitely funnier episodes.
I loved how they did Iron Man. They did Iron Man. They did, I think, John Wick. They took a bunch of movies, like inspiration from a bunch of movies, and they put them together. And I thought it was, I mean, it's still hilarious. Even if it's not a top 5, it was still a hilarious one. Anyway.
What did their multiverse look like?
Basically, it's literally, it's more of it's kind of like the Doctor Strange, where it's like, there are the same human beings in each universe, but the environments are different, or like the situations are different. Like there's one universe where they're all these really messed up alien thing. What are they called? Krabappels? No, not
I can't recall.
I can't remember, but they're like just jacked. Like there's still a Rick and a Morty in that universe, but they're like super crazy monsters. Yeah. So
we're not selling it well, but give it a watch and you'll
I haven't watched it in like 3-4 years. I gotta rewatch that show. It's hilarious.
It's great.
Rob, was your name in our group chat Pickle Rick, or was that Jimmy's name? I feel like somebody.
I think that was Tim. I think that was Tim.
Okay, gotcha.
Yo, the merchandising they got out of Pickle Rick though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Big time.
For sure.
What, like T-shirts and shit, or
inflatable pickles with his face
people
on
were
it.
buying that stuff?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm sure,
people will buy anything these days.
I have seen like old men wearing Rick and Morty shirts. I've seen that kind of frequently. More frequently than I feel like I should.
How often are you hanging out with old men?
No, I mean like in public, like seeing like a 50-year-old man wearing a Rick and Morty shirt. I'm just always like,
Do you like Bob's Burgers or Family Guy, American Dad?
Me?
I watched Family Guy back in the day.
What about you, Tyler? In college.
I feel like
I don't watch any of that.
We did that in our dorm after.
I feel like it's more though. It's like it's more South Park humor than Family.
Yeah, man, that's a better way of putting it.
Because it's not like Family Guy was always like topical, right? Like it was what was going on in the world, and South Park was just toilet humor. So there's like toilet humor, but there's interlaced like. You have to kind of be smart or witty to understand the joke type deal. It's not always cut in your face. And then there's some parts where you're like, am I supposed to laugh at this? This is pretty dark. Why is this on here?
Dude, I love that fucking mug, by the way. I'll send you like a scene or two, dude, from YouTube and watch it, and I guarantee you'll want to watch more of it.
If it's longer than a minute, I'm not watching it. That's usually my rule.
I'll try and find it. I'm
really proud of you for giving. I'm really proud of you for giving it a minute. I'm not gonna lie. When you send videos in our group chat, I rarely ever watch them.
I've been keeping it under like 30 seconds now. I've been keeping them short.
Rob sends songs a lot, and I usually don't watch them because I know they're more than a minute long.
What's the same song every time?
Night Moves.
Yeah, Bob Seger's Night Moves.
It's a great song. It's a great song. Oh, great. Rich,
have you watched Eastbound and Down?
Yes.
So
you're talking about season two when they're in Mexico. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's like, is that fucking Seeger? Yeah. Yeah, dude. Bob Seger's on there a few times. It's like a thing on that show. That's one of the best shows. Did you watch Eastbound and Down, Tyler?
Nope.
Oh my God! Well, watch it now before they take it off of HBO because there's a lot of things in that show that are not going to fly within the next, I don't know, probably 6 months. I mean, a lot of it's probably not flying
Listen,
now.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is not only actively on Hulu and actively still on regular TV, like new seasons, but they're promoting it for like in their Hulu promos. So I don't think shows are going anywhere. If
Dude,
that show is still hanging around,
the first minute of that show, the intro, there's like they just go right into it. There's like four things that are basically as he goes city to city to city as his career changes and he's like getting traded. Some of the shit that he says, like I don't know if Always Sunny does cross lines for sure, and
I
South
mean,
Park
they
has
literally
you say
have an
that, but
episode. They have an episode where they all turn black and get shot at the end.
yeah, it's pretty
That's
cool.
They
Always
they
Sunny.
pulled that one.
Yeah.
They pulled that one for a little while.
That
I
one's
think that
back. The only ones that are pulled now are the Lethal Weapon ones and the one where D is Martina Martinez.
I haven't watched that show probably since
Yeah,
college. With
I'm pretty sure the when they all turn black one is back. I'm almost I'm rewatching it now, and there are some that are still on there that I'm like, all right, pretty shocked that they left this one on here, but okay.
yeah. I mean, it's bad, but that's bad.
I mean, there's an episode that's
That's
called
really bad.
Pop Pop, the Final Solution, and it's called that because their grandpa is a Nazi, and they're trying to figure out if they need to kill him.
I thought you can get away with trying to kill Nazis on TV though.
No, no,
Yeah, I
no.
feel like
The
that's
title
perfectly
name,
acceptable.
the title is the worst part. Is calling it Pop Up, the Final Solution.
Yeah,
That's not great.
that's not great. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of like racist jokes made on that show, which I think back in the day though, right? If you go back 10 years, 15 years, like people used to laugh at like not everybody took it so seriously. Like you could joke with your friends of different races and colors or ethnicities, right? And people weren't as offended. Nowadays it's obviously a very different climate. And that's why I think that show is probably not I can't see the longevity for that show.
I don't know.
Anyway, you should watch
So
it.
reeling it back in.
Yeah,
We were talking
we'll
about
have to
aliens, the
do a lot of editing.
multiverse. Star Wars was the next topic.
But before we hop on that, do you mind if I just grab food real quick? I'm starving. I haven't eaten dinner
Oh
at all.
my god.
Nah, that's cool.
All right,
I knew you
literally-
were gonna do this. Is it gonna be a
Well,
sandwich?
I was working. I was
pretty
quesadilla.
surprised.
I was
that
working for a while, and then we had to.
I should have known Rich got on before I did that many. He hadn't eaten yet, clearly.
Yeah. I don't want to be late.
So-
I'll be right back.
Okay, now that Rich is eating, we can get back to the regularly scheduled programming here. We were gonna be talking about Star Wars. Which of the Star Wars 11 movies is your favorite?
I
Rob?
don't need to count these days.
Yeah, I was counting
Yeesh,
Solo, and then I forgot about so
Rogue
Rogue
One.
One and Solo were the two outside of the 9.
They're really like we don't count the last 3 that were made, the sequel trilogy. But
I like that response
man.
already.
yeah, Seth can agree with that. But
Right.
no, I would say the most well done movie that like got away from all the bullshit was like Rogue One. Like just a straight story about rebellion forming, being effective against a larger enemy. And it doesn't have this sugar-coated Disney ending where everybody survives and like all the romance like comes to fruition, people get married, people have kids. No. Everybody just fucking dies in the end.
Yep,
Yeah.
But they achieve their MO, right? So
I got the
I
plans.
think it was the most realistic movie ending, in my opinion.
You sold
Yeah.
me on that one. I actually didn't like that one initially because I never watched the whole thing, and then because you talked about it frequently.
Would
And
you just watch 1 minute of it?
no, I probably
I'm
only
scared.
watched that and didn't know how it fit into the whole story, and so I was like, yo, why the fuck did all these people just die?
Yeah, it's the prequel to the original movie, like the immediate prequel.
I think I
Yeah.
actually watched the whole series because of you, because you talked about it in the group chat frequently. So I like,
Wait,
fuck, I don't know what he's talking about.
Was that your first Star Wars?
I don't know about. No, I'm sure. Like episode 1 was probably my first.
Okay, like Phantom
We were
Menace.
kids.
Yeah.
So like you didn't grow up with 4, 5, 6. Like
I didn't watch until I was 20, mid 30
Wow.
something. I think.
wow.
Really?
I grew up. I've been watching 4, 5, 6 since I was like 6, 7 years old.
Thanksgiving, they were always on TV.
I remember getting for Christmas one year, I got and at this point they called it the digitally remastered VHS box set,
I
the
got
Darth
that too.
Vader head that you pulled apart.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So, and that was back when the holograms at the end of Jedi, there was actual Anakin Skywalker, not Hayden Christensen, which didn't make any sense when they changed that. But
So what's the least favorite movie, Rob?
Least favorite? Oh man.
Yeah.
7 through 9.
I'm gonna say episode 7 because it was so safe. It was so safe. If you think about it from Disney's standpoint, right? They pay billions of dollars to acquire a franchise, and they didn't think about the fan base and what we would have wanted as a complex evolutionary story based off the sequel trilogy. They've literally just made episode 4 again and said somehow
Yeah.
the Empire's back. Somehow Palpatine returned in episode 9, right? Like it just seems like they were rushing to make a return on their investment. And it's really a theme with a public company like Disney, right? If you think about they're spending billions of dollars to acquire a franchise, they're not going to want to wait the time to do it right. They're going to say, all right, what makes us the quickest return on this money? Pump out a movie, you know?
Call it Star Wars.
What would be doing it right? I know you were telling me on Monday night we were hanging out, but for everyone to hear.
So there are these the books that were originally written by Timothy Zahn. It's the Heir to the Empire trilogy, right? It's loosely what Ahsoka is based off of now, right? So they actually got the character of Thrawn from that trilogy. And that, in my mind, to this day, still stands as the original sequel trilogy because it focuses on, again, from a realism point of view, factions of the Empire. Like, there's no way the Empire just died when the Death Star blew up, right? And the Emperor was gone. It'd be like you saying, oh, the US government ceased to exist just because our government was decapitated, right? Like, we would still exist in some capacity, right? So this trilogy focuses on the factions of imperial fleets coming together, banding together, and this admiral named Thrawn kind of taking up the helm of leading the fleets, maintaining control of the systems they had control of. And then I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it. But basically just a more realistic view in my eyes of what would have happened after the Battle of Endor. Because if you were to watch a sequel trilogy, right, I get that there were 30 years in between those movies, but you would have thought that they blew up the Death Star. Oh, all of a sudden the New Republic's formed. They have a functional government, right? And that's kind of what Disney's exploring now. They're kind of trying to make amends with the fan base by like trying to tell that story in depth between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy. But in my mind, you know, as a Star Wars fan, they can never make amends with me.
So you
This
think
goes
that's what
back to
they're
greed, right?
So you think that's what they're doing with like Obi-Wan and Ahsoka and the Mandalorian and Boba Fett? They're kind of filling in the gaps with the rest of the story.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think the Obi-Wan series was necessary, in my opinion. Did I watch it? Yeah, sure I did. But
I agree. I thought the Darth Vader and him fights were good, but there were two things. I gotta remember both. There were things that like didn't tie into the story well. Like in episode 4, Obi-Wan and Leia like don't know each other.
Yep.
Like, and then
that's the biggest one.
like fucking he saved her life in the whole fucking show. Like, how did she not know him? Like that bothered the hell out of me. And there's something else.
But she was a baby.
Oh, R2D2. He didn't know who R2D2 was.
She
He's like, I never owned a droid in episode 4. Well, they could have tied that better, through the ways. I don't know.
But she was, when he gave her to Senator, whatever the fuck his name was, she was like a baby, so she wouldn't know him.
No, she was a kid.
He saved her as a kid later on.
She was like 10 years old.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, yeah.
When they're leaving in the transport.
Yeah.
So, I think that's also like, have you watched the most recent season of The Mandalorian?
I stopped watching that.
They're trying to start to interweave it there. It definitely fell flat in Mandalorian because I feel like Mandalorian doesn't really connect to the Empire. Like it doesn't have a need to connect to the Empire really. But that's what they were trying to do with that like side episode that was 1,000,000 hours long, it seemed like, where the guy was like off doing it was the guy who was rehabbing because he was part of the dark side, and then he like wants to go do experiments again, so that person tricks him into going and then traps him. It was such a weird episode.
Dude, I haven't watched Ahsoka yet, and I want to, because everyone's saying it's really good. But the what was the one with the guy who's like the from Rogue One? He's got his own
Andor.
show.
Andor.
Andor. Yeah. That was phenomenal. I could not stop. I know some people are like it could have been shorter, but I just couldn't stop watching it.
Some people would be me. I mean, it was good. I thought it was good. I think it was one of the better like interwoven series, but it definitely
Mm.
it could have
That was-
been like it could have been like 9 episodes, 8 episodes, not 12.
Yeah, I hope there's another season of that because honestly, like some of these things that are happening in between. But Rob, you bring up a really good point of like how the Empire just wouldn't cease to exist. Like I've actually never thought of that before, and I consider myself a pretty big Star Wars fan. I played a bunch of the video games. I've watched all the movies. Like I had like the fake lightsabers growing up. Like I've loved Star Wars, and I've never thought about that. Even like the Roman Empire, like when you think about what happened there, like after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, and you have Justinian and Belisarius, and you have like all these guys that are trying to like, bring the empire back. Yeah, of course you would have like loyalists, especially because like when you look at the empire, you see these guys that are like, I mean, what would be a good word for that? They're like fanatical about the empire, right? And so of course you're going to have like some sort of admiral or some sort of general that's going to be like, nope, like yeah, okay, like the space star or Death Star got blown up, but like we're going to go conquer and reconquer and all. Like I've never thought about that, but that's actually kind of blowing my mind because there's so much shit they could do with that. But again, will they do it right? I think Rogue One. I loved Rogue One. If they made, I say this on a previous podcast, if they made like a Black Hawk Down type movie where it was like it was like stormtroopers like kicking in doors or like getting into a big fight like they had in Rogue One, that one like within what was the name of that Jeddah or not Jeddah?
The planet?
Yeah.
Scarif?
No, the first one that got blown up when they were like
Jeddah.
Okay, yeah.
Jeddah, yeah.
Like if you had something like that, man, that would be phenomenal. But there's so much stuff they could do with it. But I think you're right. It's like things are. Look, I mean, Rogue One, fantastic. I think my favorite probably. The other one, Solo, pretty good. I think it was actually pretty solid. So I can't say that Disney's going to Disneyfy it, but I think like, do you think it's fair to judge Disney owning Star Wars based on that trilogy when they have put out a lot of good content since, like other content?
Are a public company who, at the end of the day, they're trying to find a balance between catering to adult fans and children, trying to suck them in, become fans themselves, right? In my opinion, I have the money, Disney, so you should be catering to me, right? I'm the one spending all the money on your content, so give me more of what I want.
Yeah.
But it is a tough balancing act. Like as somebody who works in finance, like I understand the need to have profitable products and have the safe plays on the products you're putting out to make the most money, the movies that most people will see. I think Andor is kind of like a more niche series. It's a little darker, right? It's a little more complex. But at the end of the day, I think it's just them trying to walk that balancing act,
Is Thrawn a human?
Yeah.
No, right? Blue.
He's like a different species. I think it's
Just
called
another-
like Chiss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you watch the most recent episode of Ahsoka?
Yes.
I watched it just before this.
Did you ever play Knights of the Old Republic on Xbox?
They've not. They've
Dude.
not.
Holy shit! If there's any game that you should get back into gaming for, I would say it's the number one or easily top 3 game that I've ever played in my life. It's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. There's actually 2 of them. They even made an MMO out of it. But it is the story there. If that was a movie, it's the best writing of basically any game that I've ever played in my life. It's easily number one when it comes to writing, and it's true to Star Wars. It's so true to Star Wars. It could be violent, it could be dark. You know, you make choices, and depending on the choices you make, depends on if you're going the light side or the dark side, and if your companions like you or not. Like there's, it has an effect. Um, Dude, I would look into Knights of the Old Republic because as a
Yeah.
Star Wars fan, forget the fact that you don't game a lot. If you want to indulge and basically, here's how I see gaming. It's an interactive movie when the writing is done correctly. This is like the movie that you've not watched yet.
It took place
Totally
4,000
agree.
years before the Empire. It
Four
says?
thousand years before the Empire, before Episode One. I Rob, promise me you'll play it.
I will promise you on this podcast that I will pick up something, probably my PC, probably on PC, right? I'll look into it.
Let me
I'll look
check.
into it.
You could, even if you don't have a gaming PC, I'm sure you could probably
Yeah, I'm basically running a game from 2003,
like three. Star
right?
Wars Knights of the
Yeah.
Old Republic, $9.99 on Steam. Buy it.
Sweet.
It is because if you look at it from the perspective of an RPG is an interactive movie, it is hands down the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
There's
It's
Mandalorians in it.
back when they cared about like storylines in video games, like creating out, like fleshing out in-depth, like I don't even know what to call it. Like I feel like nowadays video games are all like centered around like online multiplayer or like interaction with like other players, you know. I feel like that
Yeah,
art's been lost over the years, but I'll look into it.
100%. You should, man. I mean, there's Mandalorians like when they were actually like a race, and there's like a story about their planet and like whatever, what happened to them. Not just like the Mandalorian when I was watching it, because I played that game a long time ago. It was like, oh, it's just, anybody could be a Mandalorian. You have to like believe in this, and like we're just like this, a bunch of misfits that put on the armor and we believe in like, this stuff. This It's like, no, dude, like Mandalorians are from Mandalore, and there's like, they're like a warrior race that were like a threat to the galaxy, and there was a war, a Mandalorian war, which set the stage for this game. So
They get
phenomenal.
into that in the latest season a little bit more. They actually go
Do
back.
that,
to
good,
They go
good,
back
dude.
to
They should make a movie about the Mandalorians because it's literally so. Mandalore is like he's like the head of all the Mandalorians. He's like the warlord. They're like a warrior race that were spreading across the galaxy, wreaking havoc, and all they were like Spartans. All they cared about was battle and dying in battle. That was like the greatest glory for them. Everything was about what kind of warrior you were, and the galaxy and the Republic had to come together and like stop this menace. How is that not a phenomenal movie right there? Who cares about? I mean, the best. I mean, yeah, the newest trilogy. The only thing I would say is good about it is Babu Frick because he's adorable. That's about it. Babu Frick.
He's like
Other
the
than that,
medic or mechanic or something.
He's a mechanic.
yeah, he like knows how to like hack or whatever into something or yeah, like he's adorable and like the Porgs or whatever were kind of cute too, even though a little stupid. But I think yeah, Disney did drop the ball, but I guess I don't know. I don't know if I judge them too harshly because when you look at the Mandalorian and Andor and all those others, I do think they put out a lot of good content. They should never have DB Weiss and Benioff ever do any writing for them again, though, because those guys ruined Game of Thrones and obviously they wrote a shitty Star Wars.
What did they wrote one of the more recent movies?
Yeah, yeah, and J.J. Abrams was like, I don't know, everyone made a big deal of that.
So what was your favorite show then, Rob? I don't think you mentioned. I think you said you liked
Favorite show? I mean, I'd have to agree with Rich Andor.
Andor.
Yeah,
I
for
thought
sure.
that was good too.
You have to branch that out, dude.
That
What's
might
your
have been my favorite, I think too.
was there like a favorite scene you had in Rogue One?
Favorite scene? Oh, fuck. No, I think it's literally like for the reason I gave before, like the last scene when they're all just like dying. They're all dying. They're all faced with death, imminent death, and they're just like those guys that got cut down by Vader in the hallway, right?
Awesome
Like,
scene.
oh fuck,
Yep.
like would you catch me like if I didn't understand the gravity of the situation, would I be like running away with that disc? No, I'd be probably trying to like shoot my fucking blaster like unsuccessfully at Vader, you know?
Yeah,
So I think like it kind of that last scene does it in a good way of like showing the gravitas of the rebellion, like how the stakes that were like involved and how many people kind of knew the stakes, right? Of getting that information to, I guess it was Princess Leia, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Beaming it
when the
back
guy's
to
like,
whoever she beamed it to, right?
yeah, the guy's like, take it, and then he gets like killed like right after, but all he cared about was like getting
Sabered
that.
right to the
Yeah,
chest. Yeah.
yeah. Dude, I think one of my favorite scenes is remember when she basically is unsuccessful at that round table. Everyone's like, "Yeah, we're not gonna fight," and then she walks out, and there's that. What the hell's that guy's name? The guy from Andor. What's his name? His first name?
Cassian.
Cassian. Cassian's standing there with like 20 other dudes, and they're just all like ready to die. They
Oh,
know it's
right.
probably gonna. They're all just standing there looking like a bunch of badass guys ready to fucking lay their life down, and they know it's a one way trip, and they're just like, yeah, we have to because everything will be for nothing. Like let's do it. We're ready to die. And I think you're right. Like, and I never thought about that at either your point about the gravitas, but I think you're hitting the nail on the head, and that kind of does uplift the movie even more than I think I already held it in the highest regard for all those movies, but yeah,
You think
I
about
went
it,
through that.
any of those people make like a wrong move, like the fucking Empire wins.
Yeah,
They never
yeah.
destroy the Death Star.
To believe in something so strongly too, it's like their entire life is just dedicated to that.
Okay, I might watch that movie tonight now.
Such a good movie.
I was watching Band of Brothers, and I'm like,
Also, did you ever watch The Pacific?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you like more?
Well, no, I was watching because Rob insulted me on Monday and said that I'll never know what that feels like because Rob's in the National Guard and I'm in the Air Force. So I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And then I watched the first episode of Band of Brothers and I was like, yeah, fuck. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, good for you, dude. That's like the scariest. I think about that sometimes. Like, you lied about your age, and you're like 17, dude. It's like basically taking like the high school football team or the high school lacrosse team, and you're putting rifles in their hands instead of sticks, and you're saying now go fight that other high school team to the death, and you're just like minding your own fucking business.
Yeah, I mean that's what my grandfather did, right? They were playing football at like their local high school, and when Pearl Harbor happened, they were like, "I guess we're going to sign up for for the army."
That's
You know?
insane. I mean,
Moving on to the lightning round.
Lightning
round.
Rob, you have to say it too.
Round.
All right, I'll start off. Rob, what are 3 things on your bucket list?
Jeez, you're hitting me with the heavy stuff first, man. Shit, I would say I'm not going to give you a cliche answer like travel, right? I do want to have a family one day.
Okay.
So definitely having kids is something I want to do before I die, right?
2.5
Like leave
kids.
a legacy behind. Do I want to have
I
kids?
said 2.5 kids. You know,
2.5. Well,
yeah.
no, yeah, 2, 3, split the difference. 2.5. That's fine. Geez, man, 2 and 3. It's crazy. Like in my adult years, like going to work every day, I don't really think about bucket lists. I feel like these are things that you think about when you have like a terminal illness, right? Um, shit,
Jeez.
man. This is tough. You guys are treating me like I have like stage 4, you know?
What's your 5 year plan? What's the biggest thing to have in your 5 year plan?
Well, that's not a bucket list, man, because I'm not dying in 5 years.
I'm just trying to make it attainable for you.
All right, we'll skip the last
Yeah,
2. We'll
skip
come back
this
to it.
question.
No,
Skip
we're
this
coming back
question,
to it.
jeez.
We're
We're
coming
fucking
back
coming
to
back
it.
to it.
Yeah, no way. You can't get
All right,
out of it.
everything's on my fucking bucket list because I'm
All
live a
right, so what's
long
the third
life.
one?
Well, we had have kids, everything. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel
You're
like
like a seize the day type of guy, aren't you? You like if
I've
you
had
do
a
you want to do, you do it.
yeah. I mean, I have that luxury. I mean, listen, like I can't go into fucking space or, you know, take a submarine to the bottom of the ocean whenever I want, but I feel like what I'm able to do, like, is pretty realistic. You know, I travel every now and then. Um, I feel like I've been to a lot of cool places, so like that's why I don't really have like a cliche travel answer, you know. Um, yeah, that's a tough one, guys. What's on your bucket list? Like, what's a unique thing
Oh, I'll give you
that,
one.
okay,
So I want to own a bunch of acres somewhere up north. and I want to build a hobbit hole to live in, a nice, beautiful like cottage hobbit hole, and just have a bunch of land where I could hunt and just wander the woods and just be left alone.
Is that more a
Like
life
straight out
plan than a
of
bucket
Lord of
list?
the Rings.
Just like Lord of the Rings. Well, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a life plan because it's probably not going to end up happening, but that would be a bucket list. Like like when you ask yourself like what makes somebody successful, I don't think it's like material goods. I think it's like, did you achieve a big plan? So for me, if I had 100, 200 acres up in like, north somewhere, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, whatever it is, and I had like a nice cottage or like a hobbit hole type thing on that, like an English cottage feel, and I just got to wake up and not have to punch a clock or worry about the stupid shit you do in the corporate world, and I could just like go out with my dogs and hunt fowl and stuff like that. Like work with my be free, work with my hands. I would be like, all right, I've lived a successful life. Like I worked all those years and like sacrificed by like not buying stupid shit this whole time so I could like get to here. I did it.
Your diet would consist of all fowl with the closest Costco like 100 miles away.
It would be like, yeah, it'd be like corn and jerky, fowl. I have no teeth in my head,
Mine would be running across the United States. That's one of mine.
like Forrest Gump.
Not more of an organized thing. They're doing organized one yearly.
Not a just you felt like running, so you did.
Yeah. Wait, there's a yearly run.
I think it's yearly. Yeah, takes 2 months.
Where do you run from?
I don't know. Somewhere on the East Coast or the West Coast or vice versa. I think it alternates every year.
Jesus, dude.
I have a cheesy travel one. Sorry, Rob. I want to go to all 7 continents, but I guess it's kind of cool because not many people can just up and travel to Antarctica, so it
That
makes
would
it
be
a
cool.
little more.
So what's your number 3, Rob?
I'm gonna have to think about this one, right? I'm gonna have to think about this one. It's like I can make up crazy bucket list idea that I never thought of before this call that sounds fucking awesome, but like it's not from the heart, you know? It's not from the heart. For the viewers of this podcast, I want to give you a genuine bucket list answer. A genuine one. Not to dispute
Read the
what Seth
comments.
said. Read the comments. I'll comment under the video later. But Seth, like what is in Antarctica that you'd want to see specifically?
So my wife and I have always loved traveling. It's one of the things we bonded over early on in our life. It's meant a lot to us.
Yeah.
But now having a kid, obviously, like I can't just up and go to Antarctica. But it's right. It's a mystery. It's a mysterious place. So I want to go to it. There's a post office in Antarctica. I want to go see that post office. I want to meet the person who runs that post office and say, why?
You could do it in a few
Doing it.
years. It'd be like the wild thornberries. It will be like Donnie or whatever, and everywhere you go, you take them with you.
So yeah, so
Call me
that's
Donnie.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the rest of them are all attainable given time, obviously. But yeah, I think
Cool.
going to Antarctica and going to that post office, I gotta find that article. But
I want to establish a true democracy between the Atlantic and the Pacific.
all right. So next lightning
Okay.
round
Okay,
question.
yeah, next
Rich, what do you
question.
got?
I'm just kidding. If you could have dinner with anybody, historical
This
or
is mine. This is my question. You did this last week too. God damn it!
Let's swap,
Rich.
we're just gonna swap. questions.
Just ask the question.
Wait,
Just ask the
is
question.
is mine like multiple people?
No, yours has
Okay,
nothing
I know
to do
mine's
with
the
dinner.
mine's the writing. Okay, I know the one. Okay, if you could have dinner with somebody, both either alive or dead, who would it be?
Probably the guy who decided on the pyramid construction. Like somebody had to make that
Ooh.
call, right? Like kind of leading back to what we were talking about. Like who made that call? Like I feel like in today's world you have real estate. Tyler, what did you just type there? All right. You have like people in charge with like the construction project. Like who was in charge of that construction project? Who made that call to build that pyramid? No, you want a real answer? Probably like, I don't know, one of our founding fathers.
King Tut. Oh, what? Oh, okay. I thought you
Which
said
founding father?
King Tut, the founding father of
King Tut made the call about the
Egypt.
pyramid. No, so the founding father, somebody, dude, that would be epic. Yeah. Dude, George Washington is literally God. He's a god.
Rob, are you thinking what I'm thinking about? What's his name? Stand up.
Shane Gillis stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about George Washington's teeth. How fucked up
Yeah.
they were.
Yeah.
Dude, I gotta get that quote. Hang on.
All right, Rob, would you go to space?
Fuck no.
Interesting.
Fuck no. No, I wouldn't.
Interesting.
If it was safe,
Define safe. Like
you're not gonna die. You're gonna come back and you're gonna make it there and come back.
Define space. Like, am I spending like a couple mil to go in the atmosphere and like look down at Earth? Or am I like going far? You know?
it's up to you, man. It's up to you.
Let's say free land on the moon.
Nah, not worth it. Unless there was a Domino's on the moon that I can get like the lava cakes route. No, I'm not kidding. Like, I think I'm not like shitting on people who have done it. I just don't think that there's anything meaningful for me to do up there. Because it's kind of like you go up into space and like, okay, cool, I'm here, you know?
Could you think about being on the moon and looking back at Earth and being like, what the fuck?
Dude, I've seen pictures. It's like just as good. Like,
I don't know, bro. I think being in space would be different.
I think it'd be much different. I think it'd be such a huge existential like
As soon as you get out of the atmosphere and everything's just fucking black. Like black as night, you can see forever. You can see stars infinitely far away.
I gotta imagine it's pretty quiet too. Like
Yeah.
like real quiet, not like, oh, the house seems quiet tonight. Quiet.
Like out in the country on a million acres, quiet. Like in the middle of a
Yeah, in
Yellowstone
Rich's
somewhere.
Hobbit hole, quiet. Like,
That would be amazing.
All right, next question. What is the best book you have ever read or listened to?
it's gonna be a swing and a miss. I have not read a book, admittedly, and I'm ashamed to admit this, in years, man. In years. I feel like I'm a product of today's society where if something is turned into a movie or TV show, I'll just watch it. I have a laundry list of Audible books that I've downloaded for free, but I have not gotten to listening to them with my ears, my eyeballs.
So no favorite book.
What's that?
So no
Nope.
favorite book.
Well, let me look at what I have in my queue here. Real
I was
quick.
gonna ask, do you have one that's at like the top of your list that like if you were stuck on an island with no internet, you'd be like, I guess I can read.
Oh, I started reading the 100-Year Marathon. Well, not reading, like reading with my ears. I started listening to the 100-Year Marathon,
What's that
talking about China. Didn't you recommend this to me, Tyler, or did I
I think you
recommend this
recommended it to me, but you haven't read it yet, so that's weird.
No, how far? I'm on chapter 3. So it's China's secret strategy to replace America as a global superpower.
Ooh, that
100
does sound
years
good.
from 1949 to 2049.
Fictional or is
What do you think, dude? What do you think?
it?
Yeah.
Rich, you got the next question.
Do you think you can handle this, Rich, or do you need?
I can.
it's in
I
the
can.
chat.
I'm actually sorry. I was researching Washington real quick on something. The whole legend about how he turned down the crown. But anyway, so what's a song that you hear and whenever you do, it takes you back to a specific place in time, and what is that place in time?
Probably be The Boys Are Back in Town. Is that by Thin Lizzy?
Yes.
Is that by Thin Lizzy? I think it's by Thin Lizzy. Yeah.
So
And it brings me back to college specifically, that when we would go to, was it Olive Branch,
Yep.
Tyler?
Yep.
With the 50-cent slices, $1.50 cores, and John and I, my buddy, would play this song on repeat. You know how you could like play songs from your phone hooked up to whatever service they have there?
Yep.
Yeah. Play it on repeat in the bar, pounding 50-cent slices.
Nothing better than
And
that.
watching all the bar patrons be like, who's playing this right now?
Yeah.
Who's doing this?
Those slices are now $3, and they're never coming down.
I think they're $1 now.
Inflation.
I'm just being an ass.
all right. You can time travel. You can go forward. You can go backward. You can go anywhere you want, anytime you want. Where are you going and why?
Probably the 1940s, man, because like you can afford a house back then. You know, like
I love how this has just become about affordability. Yeah.
yeah, no, sadly about affordability. Uh fuck, like probably go back to when primal civilizations were being like formed, just to see like what kind of thought processes people were like. Fuck, like I would probably hate to do that after being there for like 2 minutes because like you don't have all the amenities you have today.
Mm.
But kind of just seeing like how society is formed, because I feel like we take a lot for granted today that we have, like Seth was saying, like he has a cup of water over there. Like
Hmm.
what decisions were made to get us to the point where we are today? You know,
Mm.
like because not everything started out as like democracy or what Rich wants, like a dictatorship. Like there are
I want
very
no. I
primitive
want a
forms of
I want a democracy.
Got it, Rich. We
I
all
want a
understand.
democracy.
We all
A true
understand.
democracy. I think. Anyway, as I say, people always confuse democratic republic with democracy, but yeah, I gotta
God, people are so ignorant.
Either way, they're very different than communism and dictatorship, which is where I
correct.
think you were
Which
going.
is that's not at all where I was going. It's not at all where I was going.
All right, so that wraps
Yeah,
up the lightning round. Lightning round is
well, we
now
got-
over.
Wait,
Yep,
the bucket
it's
list.
done. Yeah, it's done.
No, Rob's gonna comment unless he has a bucket list.
That's a good idea. There you go. That's a good idea, Rob. Just comment when you come up with your third one. Watch the video on YouTube or on iTunes or your streaming service, and comment below. And make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're
Wait, before you go, because we talked about Star Wars a lot. You don't like Lord of the Rings. I kind of felt like your reaction there was you don't like it.
I've seen it before,
Mm.
but I haven't read the books. And that's probably why. I feel like if I read the books, actually, you know what? The movies are actually pretty cool. Yeah, you know what? I'll retract my statement. I'll watch them if they're on TV. Yes, I'll watch them.
So you're entertained by
But
them.
yeah. You can say I'm entertained. You know,
Got it.
are you guys doubting me in like liking Lord of the Rings?
You just don't really
That's
seem
the
very
badass
entertained
parts.
right now. You don't seem
It's-
very, yeah. You just
I
kind of
wasn't
seem
sure
like
where
you're
Rich was
guessing
going with the
us.
question.
Yeah, that was I was okay with your answer about Lord of the Rings earlier, so I clearly it bugged Rich a little bit though.
I was just trying to size Rob up and see if he's just into all that kind of stuff or just Star
You're
Wars.
trying to size him up. You're trying to fight him. Trying
Trying to size him up. Trying to be a tough guy.
Yeah. What the?
That was fun. I want to see your reaction. All right, guys. God bless the troops. And when I run for president, troops, I got your back. I'm the president that will have your back. I got your back more than others.
Rob,
Well,
any
I think you should have 2 votes.
any parting words, wisdom, anything before we go?
Just keep democracy alive.
Roger
Democracy.
that.
Wait. Democracy's dead. Democratic Republic is alive. Is that what you want? Democracy died with like Greece. It wasn't even a true democracy then either.
Listen, no matter how things are painted, they're never really that bad. They're never.
Yeah,
really that
I'll
bad.
agree with that. I'll agree with that. Yeah.
No matter
I
how
probably
things
just
are painted.
I just put my opinion into bad words there, but I agree with you. No, America's best. I'll say that hands down.
Sweet. That's what we're going for.
Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time.